already covered my thoughts on the prospect of Tina Fey hosting The Daily Show. If you haven't seen that video already, you can see that linked right here. But she's not the only person I think would be a great fit. I think there's at least a few others that would be probably about as good as Fey and certainly worthy of real consideration. And since I already talked in length about Fey as a prospect for the new Daily Show host, I wanted to take a little time and talk about some of the other prospects that I think could do very well. So this is my top 5 other potential Daily Show hosts that I would like to see. Now, before I get into the real top 5, there's been a handful of names thrown out there, some within reason, but others that are just a total stretch or just need to outright be put to rest. So let's cover a couple of those real quick. John Oliver already has his own show, Samantha Bee and Jason Jones are off to do their own project at TBS, and Jessica Williams has already publicly taken her name out of consideration. So that covers most of the in-house prospects. Aziz Ansari is a name that I've seen thrown out there a handful of times already. And while he's one of my favorite comedians currently, his comedy and acting career is still rapidly ascending, and I doubt he's willing to settle down for the stability of late-night TV just yet. Chelsea Handler is another name I've seen thrown out a handful of times, to which I just kind of say, no. Just no. Dennis Miller. Now, admittedly, this will be more than just a one-liner description. In that same poll that tabbed Tina Fey as America's favorite to take over The Daily Show, Dennis Miller came in second, which makes me seriously question that poll, or at least the people answering those questions. First off, Miller is already 61 years old. When Jon Stewart took over The Daily Show, he was only in his mid-30s. So 61 isn't exactly a great place to start what people hope will be a long and enjoyable hosting run. Second, and more importantly, name me one thing that Dennis Miller has done that's had widespread appeal since he left Saturday Night Live in 1991. Exactly. And lastly of these other names, Brian Williams. Now this is actually really intriguing. It would almost be an ideal landing spot given the whole controversy surrounding him right now. Does he have the comedic flair for this job? I kind of doubt it, but the prospect is still really interesting. Anyway, let's get into my actual top 5. At number 5, I've got Rob Huebel. Huebel is a guy that's bounced around a handful of smaller but very solid roles throughout his career, seeming to be in a perpetual state of nearly breaking out in a big way, but just not quite having the breaks go his way. Not terribly unlike a certain Jon Stewart throughout the bulk of the 1990s. He's got all the tools that a host like this would need, and if it's hard for you to picture Huebel in this role for all the goofy off-the-wall comedy stuff he's done, just remember, the back of a $20 bill on weed. Also The Faculty. Number 4 is Jordan Klepper. Thought I named all the in-house prospects, huh? This guy is an obvious rising star with a ton of talent who I feel like lately has been stepping things up even more as other correspondents have left the show and the spotlight has been cast more on him. And given that Jessica Williams basically took her name out of the running, he seems like pretty much the leading in-house candidate that could likely be in the running. If the choice for a replacement comes down to an established comedic presence or a younger rising star, Klepper, I guess, fits the latter of those two, but really is somewhat of a rare case of a happy medium between the two options. Amy Poehler brings pretty much all of the same positives to the table as you would get with Tina Fey. She maybe doesn't have the writing background that Fey has, but she goes way back in the improv comedy world, and a sense of wit is definitely going to have value in a job like this. In my opinion, if you were to give Amy Poehler and Tina Fey back-to-back half-hour time slots on late-night TV, they would be like the female version of Stewart and Colbert. Lofty praise, I know, but that is a powerful comedic duo that is already battle-tested. They're that good. And much like Stewart and Colbert, either one of them can stand strong on their own. They're not dependent on one another. It's probably about as long a shot for The Daily Show to land Amy Poehler as it is for them to land Tina Fey, but either way, that would be amazing. Number 2 is Aisha Tyler. Now, if you're looking for a total package of a knowledgeable, well-spoken, comical, and politically active person, Aisha Tyler is that total package. I almost don't know what else to say about her because her presence on camera is so commanding that the positive qualities that would make her a home run hire for The Daily Show are just kind of obvious. But amazing as she would be, it definitely would be tough for The Daily Show to land her with all the other things she has going on. But that won't stop us from hoping. At number 1, I have Kal Penn. Obviously for this role you want a charismatic and articulate persona, ideally who comes from a comic background, but can also buckle down hard on serious issues when the need calls for it. Now imagine if somebody with all those qualities had spent several years working as a part of an actual presidential administration, and you have Kal Penn. Can you imagine the kind of insight he'd be able to lend having seen the inner workings of things from that up close of a perspective? Even without that, he'd be a great option, but given that knowledge of the inner workings of things politically, it sets him apart from the rest of the pack in my book. Anyway, that's just my top 5 Daily Show replacements. If you have your own top 5 or thoughts on my top 5, leave them in the comments below. Also be sure to click the like button below, share this video with anyone else that might like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching everybody. Hey everybody, thanks again for watching my top 5 list of potential Daily Show replacement hosts. If you want to see my video where I discuss Tina Fey as a possible Daily Show replacement host, check out the video linked below on the left. And on the right is a video I made discussing the very first episode of The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore when it debuted back in January. Also, be sure to subscribe. Thanks again, everybody.